Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nerd Impact podcast. We are on to episode 31, getting into the high numbers now. Very exciting, and I am very excited to talk about today's discussion. As you can see, for people watching the YouTube video, I am obsessed. It's my it is my all-time favorite band. There's no way of kind of beating around the bush there. We are covering Deftones, a band from Sacramento, who are, I don't even know what you'd call them anymore genre-wise. They initially started off as new metal, but they are their own sort of alt rock, trip hop, rock, whatever you want to call it. They're just insanely good. You can go now. Like, you've heard basically how good they are. But yeah, so before we kind of dip into it, obviously the band consists of the incredible singer Chino Marino. You have Abe Cunningham on drums, Stephen Carpenter as lead guitarist, Frank Delgado on the decks, and then all the way from Adrenaline to Saturday Night Wrist, you had the incredible Chi Cheng on bass, who unfortunately was in a car accident. 2008, I think it was, 2008, 2009, and was in a coma, who unfortunately passed away in 2013. So the bassist who replaced them on the album Diamond Eyes in 2010 was Sergio Vega. And that is the band, and we will probably talk about them more in detail as we go along. So yeah, let's just dive right into this. Nath, Deftones for you.
Right. Well, my experience with Death Grips has been Death Grips. Terrible start.
That's another
That's
episode.
that's a Freudian slip. That's another episode. Deftones. Yeah, it started pretty recently, to be honest. I mean, I've known that you've enjoyed the band for many years, and I've heard you playing them before, and I've been at your house before, and so I've been exposed to music, but I've never properly sat down and listened to them. But as I've mentioned before, last year I did like an album a day, and White Pony, one of their probably most prestigiously regarded albums, I suppose, sort of widely acclaimed, the 2000 White Pony. That's the one I chose to listen to. I gave it a 7 out of 10 when I listened to it back in October of last year. And I was like, it's interesting. It's not bad, but there wasn't really anything that engaged me. But you picked me up from the train station not too long ago. So we're talking like November of last year. And you're playing their album Around the Fur. And that really sort of piqued my ear. I was like, that's something interesting. Like, I didn't think it was the same band at first because it sounded very different. It was like there's something to it that really hooked me, especially in the vocals. And so I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. So when I came back down to London, I sat down and listened to Around the Phone. I was like, holy shit, like this is really good. And from there, I took recommendations from you, and I've just sort of like been going through their discography up to this episode and really enjoying it. Like I don't think I've found a song yet that I haven't been like, that's enjoyable. I found songs where I'm like, this is incredible, this is really great, but there haven't been songs where I'm like, that's trash. I mean, aside from, as I'm sure is maybe more widely regarded, Gore, the album Gore, I didn't necessarily get along with as well. But I think that's more of a typical thing rather than me specifically. But Around the Fur, Diamond Eyes, Koi no Yokan, and the self-title as well was pretty great. And on revisit, I did enjoy White Pony a lot more. But yeah, no, I've it's been great sort of exposing myself to this sound because I'm a fan of heavier sounds, but I've never really cracked the sort of metal side of music, to be quite honest. Like, as we've covered before in this podcast, we've had Daughters, and we will be covering Death Grips, which are all very aggressive and sort of industrial sounds. But in sort of the more metal side of things, I haven't really got into very much. But Deftones seems a fantastic entry point, and it's there's some of these songs have immediately ended up on my gym playlist, and they've been on repeat. So no, I've had great fun just breaking into the discography, and Aidan has definitely sort of passed the virus on, and I don't know how apt a description that is these days, but he's definitely sort of passed the bug on, and I've shared it with my friends, and they've gone on to listen to the band and enjoy them as well. So
I have succeeded.
you've achieved your goal, and hopefully we can do the same for any of our listeners today.
Yeah. Ben, what about you?
Oh, I gotta say, I mean, it's a lot earlier, I guess, for me. Um, as most of my music taste originated, so Ada gave me the bug a long time ago. Um, I mean, I remember, I think probably my first sort of exposure to Deftones was Sex Tape,
Oh,
because I used
great
to
song.
have that on my BlackBerry back when you'd have like one song from like a different artist you've illegally downloaded.
Oh man.
Um,
Oh,
got the
you
kids
didn't
know what that
illegally
means.
download that. I had them all on my computer from CD rip.
Okay, so that one was all right. Well, yeah, so I mean, and well, Sex Tapes, I don't think reflects Deftones' overall sound as well
Mm.
as other songs do. So it took me a little bit of time to get into it, but as soon as kind of Joachim came out, because I remember, because I think I'd have been in year 7 or 8,
Yeah,
if
it's
my
about
maths
right.
is about right. Um,
2012.
2012, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, first time I heard Swerve City, uh,
Ooh.
I just wanted to go
Mm.
off, and then Poltergeist, oh,
Oh,
and then Tempest, oh. Um, so yeah, and I think I've always enjoyed, like, unlike you now, I guess I've always far more enjoyed metal, and
Mm.
the especially when new metal was still a thing.
Oh yeah.
I was into a lot of new metal bands. I had a few friends who were into a lot more heavy metal and new metal. And I've also tried to get my friends onto Deftones. They've been a little bit apprehensive, but slowly chipping away
I'll
at them.
learn. I'll
Yeah,
learn.
yeah. I'll get there eventually.
Slowly they'll embrace the word.
Yeah.
Proselytizing will
Um,
have its effect soon enough.
and then yeah, I mean, then we saw them at Leeds Festival 2013, I want to say.
13. Yep.
Um,
How are they live?
I did not have a very good experience because I
Oh,
was stood in the same spot for about 9 hours
Yeah.
straight, and it
mm.
pissed it down with rain just as they came on. So I was in a foul mood,
Hmm.
We
but I
were
could still
festival rookie.
recognise.
Yeah,
So,
go on.
well, no, just that I could still recognise they were fucking incredible live.
I
Yeah.
mean, you enjoyed them, but they were leaning toward the latter end of the night. And like Ben said, we stupidly thought, oh, we better get there really early. So we got there when gates opened
We got
on
far
the
earlier than
day.
that.
Yeah, so we travelled to Leeds very early, and we were stood in the same spot because we had a really good view of the stage for the entire
Hmm.
day. We didn't go off and venture onto other bands. Fortunately, the lineup was fucking
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
But
good enough.
I mean, our appeal was Deftones was there, and followed
Yeah.
by System of a Down. So we were on like we were in some pretty good music that day. But you are right, that was a rough day for us. We learned our lesson very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even go for. I didn't even walk for a piss. That's how dedicated to
Nope.
that spot I was. Uh,
And we lost our shoes and trousers from the mud. We drove home in just our underwear and t-shirts, so it was a rough day, but yeah.
Quite
I
a
mean,
price
incredible
was
memory,
paid.
Yeah.
but yeah, I just think foul mood. But like I said, still they're incredible live. I think Chino's amazing live,
Yeah.
especially.
Pretty high energy then, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
did
despite the
they did a
rain,
good variety, didn't they? The song set list was was good. I mean, the problem with Leeds, especially the earlier main stage acts, you only get about 7, 8 songs at a push to play.
Yeah.
So when you're playing from a discography of like back then was 7 albums, you are kind of potluck on what you get, but there was some good
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, Ben, was the most memorable song for you on that viewing?
brilliant to remember the liner.
I mean, for me, it was Elite because I hadn't heard that one live before, and that obviously is quite a heavy song, so I was very excited to watch that.
I'm really struggling to recall. You've put me on the spot. I'm nervous. I
That's
can't
okay.
do it. I've forgotten.
It was a
Um,
long time ago. We're talking nearly 10 years now.
yeah, all I remember was my foul mood. If I'm really honest.
Yeah, understandably.
Well, at least it was a great experience, I suppose, in a roundabout way. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
Aidan, I think the proof is in the
Uh,
pudding, really. What
yeah.
has the impact of Deftones been for you as your favorite band of all time?
So obviously, as we've mentioned in the music episodes, I absolutely adore music. and I jumped on a lot of other people's influences. You know, my dad was a big influence, and I had high school friends, like I said, with Foo Fighters. I jumped onto them because it was kind of the band that everyone was listening to. Whereas Deftones was very different. I was very aware of Back to School and My Own Summer and Be Quiet and Drive, you know, just from
Hmm.
watching music channels, radio play, and people at school would listen to them. But I never really ventured out further than that until one day I was in my first year at college. And I just had the music channels on, and similar to Ben, I had Sex Tape came on, and I was like, "Oh, this is an amazing song." The music video is quite entrancing. You know, it's like girls swimming under the sea with like multicolored spectrum stuff. So I was like, "Okay, this is really cool." And I was like, "Oh, what band is it?" I was like, "Okay, Deftones, I know of them. I'll see what they're about." And I asked, and it was so the sex tape had came out before the album had been released. So I asked
Right, so it's one
for
of the lead
Diamond Eyes.
singles.
Yeah, it was one of the lead singles, and I asked for White Diamond Eyes, sorry, for my birthday, as it came out that month, I think. So I got it on CD, and I was encapsulated straight away. You know, I didn't really know what I was expecting. Like I said, you know, similar to what Ben said, sex tape isn't really a great example to tell you what our Deftones are overall.
Yeah.
Um, so you know, I popped on this CD, and you know, you open up with the title track "Diamond Eyes," and I was like, okay, I'm very heavily invested already. And obviously, as the album goes through, and we'll get into it a bit more down the line, but I was just like, oh my god, this album is incredible. Um, as I was kind of leading with that, is this was the first band that I kind of landed on myself. It was a band that I wanted to discover more.
Yeah.
So I obviously had Diamond Eyes, and I went back and brought all the other CDs. Off Amazon, they were all quite cheap at the time, and I gave them all a listen. And again, I was very obsessed with them. I listened to some albums more than other at that time. You know, I think as we've discussed before, when you're in a certain time in a certain place, certain albums and songs reach out to you.
Absolutely.
So you know, I will admittedly say I kind of ignored the self-titled and Saturday Night Wrist at the time. I still listened to them, but they were getting less attention. And I was then fortunate. I think it was in 2011. I got to see them live for the first time. I was supposed
Hmm.
to go and see them in 2010 with my mates from school, but I think I had a deadline or something, and I just could not risk going. I didn't buy tickets, but I just couldn't go. So I got to see him in 2011 with my mate, with another band we love, Let Live, and that was a phenomenal experience. So good. And as I was saying, compared to seeing them at Leeds, where it was only an eight track set list, there
Hmm.
was a good 16 songs they played, and they played. I'm pretty sure they played at least one track from every album. Um, and from there, again, listening to some of the songs that are perhaps ignored off self-titled and Saturday Night Wrist, I went back and explored them a bit more. And yeah, it just kind of went from there. As Ben said, Kai no Yoken came out, and that's just an incredible album, and that kind of reinforced I was prepared to invest myself in this band. And I've followed them since. You know, I got Gore as soon as it came out. I jumped on it. Ohms, their latest effort. I jumped on that. Like, yeah, this is a band for me that is very important. It was my first kind of band I landed on my own feet and found, and I was fortunate that my friend from school got into him, a bit before me, I think. And then once I told him, we kind of ran with that. So yeah, 10 years or so strong, I've been listening to this band, actually longer. And they just never falter. They never get older. I still love them. I don't always listen to them, frequently. But
Yeah.
when I do, I tend to go hard. Like if a certain song comes on, I'm like, right, I'm gonna go through them. And we've discussed it off camera, but our Spotify wrapped at the
Yep.
end of the year and stuff. Every year they will be in the top five. They will always be in there, even if they're not number one. They're in there. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 20. It was 2020. I was in the top 0.5% of listeners. So
Yep.
again, the gravity of a pretty well-known established band to be in the top 0.5% was quite impressive. I was quite proud of that. So yeah, that's me with Deftones. I fucking love them. They're just so good.
And I suppose one of the benefits of them having such a vast discography, as we can see from the vinyls behind Aidan, is that their sound goes through a lot of different changes. And
Yeah, they never stay the same though.
yeah, absolutely not. And How do you feel with that? That sort of like shift from album to album. Like, do you find it hard to sort of like because you I suppose when you listen to a band in some way, you do kind of expect somewhat a certain sound, but the Deftones they're pretty consistent, but they also do change things up. How do you sort of like find that? Does that excite you? I suppose.
I think it does. I mean, again, I was very fortunate that I came in, when they were 6 albums in.
Hmm.
So I didn't have that notion of, this was their first or second album and, they had a dedicated sound. I
Yeah.
went in and I think Diamond Eyes is a very good starting point, as well it was for me because it has blends of all their previous efforts. You get that
Hmm.
aggressive kind of metal, harder sort of instruments and stuff playing in certain
Hmm.
tracks like Rocket Skates and oh god, the name's gone from me now. Ah, Royal.
Yeah.
And
Great
then you
track.
get the softer somber tracks that really let Chino's voice kind of come out, like in Sex Tape, in
Hmm.
9976 Evil and stuff. So
Yep.
you get a very good variety, and then going back to each album, again it's kind of that you get a good combination. You always
Hmm.
get either wow, yeah, I think bar maybe Adrenaline, you get that at least one song that's a bit slowed down, a bit toned back, and more vocally in your face, and then you get
Hmm.
songs that really go for it and again, I think give the fans what they want, a bit of heavy, you know, rock, and yeah. So I've never been really disappointed. I know
Yeah.
Gore gets a lot of backlash, and understandably, but even that, there's some great tracks on it. So yeah, I think for me, I don't struggle with it. What about you two? I mean, is there any particular sound of the band that resonates with you more than less?
I suppose I definitely prefer with the around the fur is the sort of I'm not no musical expert, so I don't know, but my only sort of frame of reference is the same sort of thing that Julian Casablancas does on Is This It for the Strokes, is that sort of like distorted vocals. I really like that, and it's when the sort of like when Chino, I mean, vocals is the absolute highlight for me, alongside with the guitar work for Deftones. The thing I'm like listening to, I'm like, okay, the vocals is what makes this different to like any other metal song, as well as the guitar work. But it's like I wouldn't, I'm no expert on metal, so a lot of it can sort of just blend into the same sort of guitar sound, I suppose, which isn't necessarily fair. But I don't have the sort of ear for it, I suppose. But when I listen to Deftones, I'm like, damn, like it's the vocals that are setting this apart for me. And I'm not, and I know Gino gets a lot of acclaim for that, but that sort of
Mm.
more distorted style of vocals that is present all throughout Around the Fur, I really like, and that's but saying that. Diamond Eyes and Koi no Yokan are fantastic albums, and I really enjoyed them. Almost pretty much at the same level as Around the Fur. But I mean, like I would say, like the back half of Diamond Eyes, there's not a single song I don't like on it. So it's not a case of sort of not liking or disliking, but it's more just where I'm like, oh damn, that's more unique, I suppose. What
Mm.
about you, Ben?
Yeah, Ben, what about you?
I missed the question. I'd froze. What's the question?
Oh, okay. Which kind of side of Deftones kind of do you lean more towards? Do you prefer the more heavier, grittier stuff? Do you prefer the more laid back, somber stuff? Do you like a perfect mix? There are some songs that give you that perfect blend. What kind of shouts to you the most?
I love all three. All three are just. I mean, I love. I just say Royals, Elites, some of the really heavy stuff. But then the sort of, I guess my favorite song is probably Diamond Eyes, but the song that sort of for sound wise brings out to me the most is Tempest. So I
Okay.
love when he slows it down and he just that sort of whispery um, talking he does into that proper gritty scream is
Mm.
just incredible. And I think that when I think of Deftones, I think of that blend of awesome vocals into some dirty screams.
It is a
Um,
very
I
good
just
it's a very good song to give to fans, I suppose, or newcomers. Also, Ben, you've completely forgotten to mention this, and I'll let you explain. But I don't think it was the main source of your wanting to play bass, but you've learned a lot of Deftones songs, and they're a heavy influence on the sort of things you play.
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned a fair few. I mean, just the other day, I was listening to him, and I was playing Using the Butcher. It just came on, and I started playing, and then I decided to learn 7 words, which is it's got awesome bass line. Same thing all the way through. It's very hoppy and consistent all the way through. Really hard to do. Um, Purely because my stamina in my hands are just absolute dog shit. Um, so
I mean, also, I need to thank you because I took a shot at learning bass for a small period of time a couple of years ago, and the first song that Ben taught me, and I actually managed to play fairly well for someone who was a beginner, was RX Queen.
Oh, that's a
yeah,
great tune, actually.
Yeah. So
yeah,
again,
great intro.
that's how much impact this band has had on me. I picked up a bass and gave it a go, and I've never been interested in that before.
No, they've got some really interesting bass lines. I think they use 6 strings. I think if I'm
Six or
not
seven in it.
mistaken. Yeah, 6 or 7. I've only got a 5 string and the standard 4. But yeah, some incredible lines. I mean, I remember learning Poltergeist, which is just such a fun, aggressive song to play.
I'm
Um,
putting this on record, and you will agree with me. I am almost certain they've took inspiration from the John Carpenter's Halloween theme
Oh, I
tune.
remember you mentioning this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
it has
is
to be.
literally. I mean, I've not found anything that confirms it, but every time it plays, I'm like, it's gotta be. So if
No,
anyone knows or has got confirmation on that, please let us know because it literally every time I hear it, I'm like, I've got to be right. I need to be right.
it'd give it just that little bit of extra awesomeness
It would, to
if
be
it's
honest. I mean, it's
true.
called Poltergeist, so I'm kind of, but equally, it was originally called Roller Derby, so I don't know. I could be reaching there.
I read you
Sorry,
wrong.
guys. I am very passionate. This will be
And
something
there's
that
no
comes up a
need to
lot.
apologize. No need
Yeah.
to apologize.
I mean, let's just jump into it. Let's just kind of go through album by album. Just throw out any standout tracks for us. So we start in 1995 all the way back there with the first effort Adrenaline, which again it's good. It's not underappreciated, but it
Hmm.
kind of gets put to the wayside because of obviously how experimental they went by. But you know, standout tracks for me, Bored, Root, 7 Words, and Engine Number 9 are my kind of go-tos from that album.
I'd literally fully agree with that assessment. Is adrenaline along with gore is probably the ones I've listened to the least, and those are the tracks that were different from the rest, I suppose. So they sort of stood out more, I guess, is the best way I could put it, really.
Yeah, I mean, to be
Uh,
honest, I didn't really go on them.
no, no, carry on.
I didn't really listen to Adrenaline much before seeing them live,
Yeah.
and then they played Words and Engine Number 9, and I was like, "What are these tracks?" I didn't recognize them, and I was like, and then
Okay.
that's where I kind of forced myself to listen to Adrenaline, and I was not disappointed. Sorry, Ben, carry on.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, all the ones you'd rattled off there are on my Deftones playlist, um, and it hasn't been updated for quite a while. But I gave Adrenaline like a really good listen to probably a couple of years ago. Like really good listen. I absolutely love the entire album.
Oh, it's
I
a good
need
album.
to update them or update the playlist, but every single song I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure. Um, then we move on to where things kind of where their popularity kind of came into play, and I think that there's a lot of love for this album still is Around the Fur, and very kind of iconic front cover to the album. And I mean, the intro track is My Own Summer, which is just an absolute banger. Like you get that eerie kind of, and they use sharks in the music video, but you do feel like you're kind of being stalked. And then as soon as it
Mm.
drops into that the drop, your head bangs straight away. Um, but again, the album itself, this is one again a very incredible album, and I'll be saying that a lot. But standout tracks for that because I could be going through the whole track. Around the Fur itself is a great track. Rickets it rips hard.
Hmm.
You've got the most popular song probably on the album, Be Quiet and Drive. I love Lotion, and one that grows on me more and more as I listen to it. And again, another proper hardcore one is Head Up
Head Up's
with the
so
lead singer of
good.
Soulfly.
I really like
So yeah,
Head Up was one of those songs when I first listened to the album. I was like, oh, like that's awesome. I it felt to me, it felt like a song from the Need for Speed Most Wanted soundtrack. It just I don't know. There's a specific sort of like sound, and I was just like, okay, that's what it is. But I as I said, like this is one of my favorite albums by theirs, and the first one I properly sat down and listened. Oh no, I properly sat down and listened to White Pony, but to actually properly sat down and enjoyed mostly was this album and Be Quiet and Drive. The first time I heard that, like the transition where I mean, I think it's worth noting. I mean, you can probably tell from the cover. This is a very well horny album. Is best way to put it. And Gino was going through things, man. Like he was, but
my dude goes through so many things on every album. But yeah,
yeah, he's going through things, and it's yeah, it definitely comes across, definitely the vocals, and especially in this song where like the way they like layer up, where like he has like these sort of like very towards the end of the track, they have these sort of like the screams underlying sort of over the top, this more like angelic kind of vocals over the top. It's beautiful mix and it works so well. And that was one of the things I was like, damn, they're doing something different here, where you've got like the softer vocals, but it adds so much more punch to like the meatier screaming as sort of like underneath. I guess it's brilliant. It's so well done.
it is. I mean, it's weird, but this song, "Be Quiet and Drive," is actually on my gym playlist.
Yeah,
Even
same.
though it's a slower song, it still has that punch to it, and I'm literally like, yep, feeling it.
Mm.
Ben, any standout tracks for you that we haven't mentioned?
No, I mean you've covered them pretty well. I mean, you say Minor Summer was like, as I said for the Foo Fighters, it's one of those songs that's used to come on Kerrang and Scuzz TV all the time. So it's one I'd always be listening to. And then once I fully realised who Deftones were, it was I'd scream at the TV anytime it'd come on.
Yeah. And now we move on to, which is debatable, but also, I suppose, not, is the most influential and impactful album as a 2000 release, White Pony. I'm just going to go on record straight away and say I tend to listen to the album release that doesn't have Back to School on it.
Oh right.
That song as a single back when it came out was kind of great, but I really don't listen to that much anymore. Especially now I know that it wasn't intended for that album. The record company kind of forced them to make a more single friendly song. And they read that I don't think they ever play it live anymore. Like they're not fans of it. So I kind of start from I can't even pronounce the first track of it really. It's
Tissera, I
Fetisseria,
believe.
which is a great opening track as well. And I know Nath, you're kind of on the fence with this album, but I absolutely adore Digital Bath. Elite is another heavy one that literally, again, gym playlist going hard. My personal favorite from this album is RX Queen, and for people who don't know, on the chorus where it goes "You're my girl," if you listen very carefully, there is backing vocals from the back then lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Welland,
All
and
right.
basically they put that on because he was in the studio at the time and was like, "This is how you can kind of change your vocals in a certain instance," and they were just like, "Yeah, we'll keep that on there." So, yeah,
That's
and I love
cool.
Stone Temple
Is
Pilots,
it?
so that was a good one. Pardon?
I was just saying that's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I heard it a couple of years ago. I was like, I know that voice, and it's only very
Ah.
subtle. And then I went and obviously did a bit of digging about it. And then yeah, Korea is another one that I absolutely love. Gym playlist again, very heavy, very kind of just want to punch bags. And then yeah, again you've got the closing tracks. Changed the House of Flies, which was one of their biggest singles, Pink Maggot. But and then another fan loved one is Passenger with the lead singer of Tool.
I like Passenger, and I mean, as I said,
Great
I
song.
sort of on revisit, I did enjoy it more. But I will say that the preface this in October when I first listened to this without talking to you about them, I was I'm very into shoegaze and all that kind of thing, and so I heard someone I think it's listed on Rate Your Music. One of the tags for this album is shoegaze, which is
Mm.
completely batshit. Like this is, I don't know who the hell's listening to this and is like, oh yeah, no, that's a cool, really droned out guitar sound with like sort of mellow vocals and sort of dream pop aesthetic. It's absolutely. I mean, how the fuck you got to that conclusion, I don't know, but that doesn't mean it's not a good album. And as I said, it's definitely growing on me. And I think as I get more accustomed to death grips, uh, Deftones, Freudian slip yet again. Deftones. There's only so many bands about death I can handle in the brain at one time. But Deftones. As I get more accustomed to their sound and their discography, it's definitely like I'm picking up on the trends more, and like I see where there's these sort of the songs sort of fit in, and there was a point I was thinking about. As you mentioned earlier about sort of like the John Carpenter theme, um, with sort of the bass line. But I did feel that there's a number of songs in their discography where the guitar does feel almost like straight from a horror film. Not just
Yeah,
more,
absolutely.
less like a direct rip, like you said with sort of like the John Carpenter, like it's almost like like very similar. I mean, more just sort of like the feel of it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's just a
I
small
think
little note on
that's
the
sort of an
side.
element of new metal, though. I think that a lot of new metal bands have
I
that
mean,
sort of.
they're not new metal anymore though. Like,
Mm.
Not
I
badly,
wouldn't
but
I get what
classify
you're
this as
saying.
new
They're not
metal.
new metal anymore. I
I
don't
don't know
really think
anymore.
Around the Fur was new metal. Really,
Yeah,
they're very alt rock, and there's a lot of different influences. Like I know shoegaze for you, it didn't agree, but I'd say
yeah.
that like some of the newer stuff's kind of like got trip hop sort of
No,
stuff in it.
you
There's
are
a lot
right.
going
Yeah,
on for it. I mean, for a lot of people, White Pony is the gateway drug to Deftones. It was either what got them started or a lot of people kind of go to. And it is a
yeah.
great album, don't get me wrong. But as someone who's listened to them for years, White Pony is, I mean, among the Deftones fandom, there isn't really a bad album as such. Like, even though Gore is kind of the least favorite, people are like, but it's still good. It's just
Hmm.
shit compared to the rest of their stuff. And White Pony for me is a great album, but it's definitely lower in the ranks now for me.
Yeah.
And as we kind of move on, we go on to what is now my joint favorite album. And like I said, I ignored this album for a long time, is their self-titled album from 2003. The more I've listened to this over the last few years, the more I fall in love with it. Um, and as you were saying, like Nath, like Chino's going through some shit. He was going through some shit during this album. And again, this isn't a horny album. This is like a love is shit, love
Yeah.
hurts. I mean, it
Yeah.
was originally supposed to be called Lovers, and aptly so. Like half the songs are just about fucking how toxic people are in relationships or how heartbreak can kill you. Um,
Mm.
Again, just some kind of rattling off some tracks. Hexagram's a great song. Needles and Pins. I mean, the whole album is a Minerva is an absolutely adore that song.
Great tune.
Skip a few. When Girls Telephone Boys, the first time I heard that, I literally was like, "What the fuck? This is insane." Um, Lucky You is a great track for Frank Dialgo to kind of get his work on point. Like you really can appreciate the decks and his artistry in that. But I just got to talk about this one for a few minutes. This has become my number one favorite song and is on repeat the most at the moment. And it is Bloody Cape.
Oh yeah.
And and the guitar is disgusting. Like I watched Stephen Carpenter doing a playthrough of it, and just watching him play it like just got me so excited. But and I haven't mentioned this yet, but Abe Cunningham is, in my opinion, one of my favorite drummers. He's not. There's nothing. Well, no, there is a lot special about him, but he's not like technically like incredible. Like there's a lot of people who would probably argue there's better technical drummers out there, but there's just something about the drums in some songs that are. I literally like. I know like you were saying now, if you listen to the guitar and the vocals are what stand out for you, but I catch myself really going to the drums, especially in Deftones songs. And this song, like again, I've watched like people just doing drum takes of it on their own like interpretation and stuff, and it just fascinates me. I'd love to do drumming, and it's from Abe Cunningham, just like listening to his drumming and stuff. But the drumming on this song is just incredible, especially at the end. Like there's like a sneaky double kick pedal and stuff in it, and really appreciate it. I appreciate the band in itself, but there's certain songs that I really just sit through and listen to. So yeah, Bloody Cape for anyone who wants a really heavy, batshit gym song. Bloody Cape would be my go-to. Yeah, guys, for you, any standout tracks on this album?
I will just quickly say that is interesting. The point you make about how the drumming to stand out to you. And I think it's a testament to your sort of like exposure and the amount you've listened to them, because I do find that the sort of the last thing of a song or something you sort of, at least for me, and I'm not sure if it's the same for you guys, but when you sort of listen to a song so many times, you get through like the lyrics, you get through the singing, you get through the guitar, and eventually you end up with the percussion. And that's like I it's the same sort of thing. Is that I've listened to "Loveless" by My Bloody Valentine so many times, and it's very very heavy on the distorted guitar sound. So the vocals are very faded out and all that. But what I've really started picking up on my recent listens is how incredible the drumming is on that, how consistent it is, and all that. And I think it is a level of exposure that you need to sort of have the full experience of listening to a song and have like sort of be able to break it down like that and to appreciate the drumming, because I think percussion does kind of get a little bit buried in everything else, but when you reach that point of knowing a song and knowing a band to start appreciating that, that's awesome.
Especially as well, like percussion and stuff. Like the song would sound so much different without it. Like Bloody
Yeah.
Cape would not have the same effect, even though the guitar is like brutal.
Mm.
It would not have the same punch if you didn't have the drums beat to it at the same time. And going back to that, I mean, it's thanks to Ben, but especially with like the rock bands we listen to, one of the first things I go for now is listening to the bass line, because especially with
Mm.
kind of new metal and alt rock stuff, like there's a very strong bass line in a lot of songs. And like me sometimes, Ben, like when we listen to like Korn and stuff, or certain bands, we literally just go, "Whoa, that bass line is naughty," and stuff like you. Again,
Mm.
it's about appreciating it. But yeah, any standout songs for you guys on the self-titled album?
Axe, like a
Say
tune.
again.
Battle Axe,
Ballad. Yeah.
big tune. I think it was probably. I think Hexagram was the first song I'd heard off this album, and then it
Mm,
was Battle Axe. Then I think Bloody Cape, because it's probably the album I've listened to the least out of all of them, other than Gore Gnomes.
yeah.
I'd
Nath,
say
what about you?
Hexagram and Minerva, probably the two ones that
Yeah.
stick out for me for this album at least. And again, like Ben,
They're singles as well, so
yeah,
aptly so.
yeah, it makes sense. Hey?
Also, I just want to go back again, but like I said, I didn't listen to this album much, and again, it was down to watching them live when they played Bloody Cape, and again, literally the crowd just went fucking wild, and I was like, "What is this song? It's so good." So yeah, again, watching bands live, I think brings you. Go on, Ben.
No, okay.
No, no, I was just going to say, I think watching bands and hearing songs that maybe you hadn't heard, or hearing them live in a different environment, really change your perception of songs and so forth. So yeah,
Yeah.
I feel I've got to mention because it came out of nowhere, and I keep seeing them. There's a shit load of memes with
Oh yeah.
Minerva, and it's just like Deftones got me like, and it just goes
I got like the regular
straight.
show and stuff on it.
I
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was one of the first ones I saw is Deftones at 3 a.m. and it's just Mordecai just like laying across his bed and it's just in the
Even
background.
with like Christian Bale from American Psycho and that, it's just
Oh
so.
yeah, he's got the headphones on. Yeah.
I don't know where they came from, but I'm very glad you showed me them, Ben, because that is a very accurate thing. Like when you get a certain song, you're just like, "What is this now?"
Yeah, and I think again,
Y-
like I said, they do that sort of. They have that like sort of trippy sort of vibe to them in a lot of their
Mm,
songs, and I don't know. I think people have memed it, and it's made my year.
I'm all for it. We'll kind of, just because of time constrictions, we'll skip over. They had a B-side album that came out in 2005, which has some great stuff, has covers and stuff. Go and have a listen to it. Um, then we jump on to what I thought were for a long time was a quite least favorable album, is Saturday Night Wrist in 2006. This album, I don't know what's happened, but is almost monumentally like praised now. And I
mm.
personally, again, it's one of my favorites. Again, this was Chino was in a very bad way at this point. He was dealing with drug addiction and stuff, so there was a lot going on. And obviously, this was the last album of Chi Cheng, so I don't know. But again, this is a very, I mean, it's a great album. It's just, again, the style from self-titled moving on to this has kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, you've got your "Hole in the Earth" is a great song. My favorite song off this album is "Beware." The final breakdown at the for the outro is so brutal. Again, I absolutely love it. Um, Even though Spotify says different, a lot of fans I see on like forums and stuff say "Cherry Waves" is their absolute favorite song.
Oh
Again, I
really?
see why. It's a very spacey, dreamy, trip hop sort of
Mm.
song. Um, Rats, Rats, Rats is another good one. I absolutely love the. I'm not going to go through all up, up, down, down, left, right. That song is just an instrumental, but I personally love it and will listen to it. We need to talk about Pink's cell phone. So
Isn't that
obviously,
that's the I believe that's the just on a side note, I think that's the what is it? The Street Fighter cheat code,
it's a
is it not?
cheat code. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely for a cheat code. I just
I think
didn't know
there's
what was. I
I
think
think
it's
it's a
Street
famous
Fighter.
one. Yeah, there's a famous Street Fighter one, I believe. That is what it is.
Yeah.
So just on a side note, but yeah.
No, yeah. But yeah, Pink Cell Phone. So the song in itself is very good, but then you kind of get to the last minute and I don't know what made them do this. Maybe it's for shock horror or something, but you basically get I can't remember it's and something, the featured artist in the main song. Basically just goes on some spiel about greasy hand jobs and blow jobs and butt fucking and that's why British people have teeth. And I personally think it's absolutely hilarious and listen
Yeah,
to it
yeah.
because I'm just like, this completely takes you out of the album for a minute, and I have no idea what the intention was behind it. But people go and listen to Pink Cell Phone and then just prepare yourself for the last like minute and a half and just kind of prepare for something that I don't even know. And then the closing track Riviera is absolutely incredible. I think again that's where
Mm.
Chino's kind of vocals really go hand in hand with the more melodic music and stuff. So yeah, for me that's them songs, guys. Any other standout songs on that album?
Rapture. Rapture's a big tune for me.
Great
It's,
song.
I,
I can never pronounce it. What's the one beginning of X? Yeah,
Xerxes.
Xerxes,
Xerxes. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a great tune. Sorry, enough. Carry on.
and no, I think that's actually Xerxes, isn't it? Yeah, it was with a C. Xerxes, yeah, because Xerxes is the king of Persia. Well, one
I
of the
thought
kings of
that's
Persia.
what it was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that's what it was.
I'd say the
I
first opening three tracks like are actually really quite great. Like Hole in the Earth, of
yeah.
course, was my favorite from the album, but Rapture and Beware are also really enjoyable. So, and again, I the experience of listening to Pink Cell Phone for the first time was confusing to say the least. And you are correct that it does, as much as it's entertaining, it does really rip you straight out of the album.
Midway through an album as well.
Yeah, it's because usually you just like midway through the album to sort of like have a bit more of a chill song or something, right? Not to pull you straight out, but to sort of especially with an album that's as heavy as Deftones albums can be, you'd sort of have something to give basically just give the listeners' ears a break. But this is more of a
This is
question
more
to the
ear rape than
listener.
anything
Yeah,
else, really.
it's interesting.
I mean, it's kind of a good job. Combat kind of has like a 30-second to like a minute kind of slow outro that's just like almost distortion. I think it kind of gives you that time to be like, okay, are we going to listen to music again now? I don't really know what's going on.
There is a point I completely forgot to mention when we were discussing around the fair. 40-minute long outro song. What's the deal with that? Like,
MX.
yeah, I literally I totally forgot about that because I thought the
I
album had
forgot to warn you
ended.
about that.
I thought the album had ended, and then like I was like, oh, okay, and then I checked my Spotify, and there's 20 minutes left of the song, and it's literally silence till like the last like end bit, and I don't know why, I don't know what purpose it serves, but it's there, and
The
I
90s
just
had a lot of bands doing that. Nirvana did it after Something in the Way. There was like a huge gap between their secret title, secret track and stuff. And there was a few other bands that did it. I think it was like All the Rage back then. Is just to have like a huge gap and then be like,
yeah,
here's a bonus track. You have to sit and wait for it. Especially back then when it was like track tapes and CDs where
cassettes
you
and
had to
stuff,
either
yeah.
you had to really invest yourself in it. It was quite funny. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to warn you about that.
No, no. I just wanted to mention it because it came back to me when you said that with the 30-second long intro. I was like, wait. So
Yeah, and then we move on to my joint favorite album. Obviously, the album that started it all was 2010's Dom Nice. Oh shit! Actually, I just realized. Quick insert is obviously so with Chi. Before his accident, they were recording another album that wasn't Diamond Eyes. This was obviously beforehand, and to this day, there's still a lot of kind of speculation and people wanting the release, and it's called Eros. Um, they did do some recordings. There was nothing mastered. There was barely any songs completely finished. But it was the last effort with Chi, and they're still kind of all there shelved. The band rarely ever goes back and listens to it. They did release a song called "Smile" in 2014, which was from Heroes, but it was taken down very quickly. But yeah, so to this day, people are like, are they going to release this album? Are they going to mix it and
Yeah.
master it and finally give fans, choose final efforts? But there's, losing someone, especially in such a painful way, there's a lot of kind of up in the air about whether they'll actually do it. So yeah, there was intentionally was supposed to be Heroes released in 2009 or so forth, and then they moved on to Diamond Eyes, which was a brand new slate for them, and oh god, such a good album. Um, Again, I could go through every single song, but I'm not going to. So, Diamond Eyes is my joint first favorite song. Royal is a beautiful, like, heavy track. Absolutely adore it. The bass line in You've Seen the Butcher as an intro, disgustingly beautiful. Um, Rocket Skates as well. Like, holy shit, that song is so aptly named. And again, the drumming from Abe is so prevalent. Like, when I listen to it, I wait for the drumming and start like pounding away at myself. Yeah, and then like Naf, you kind of said like the final like sort of after Rocket Skates, Sex Tape all the way to This Place's Death is so well placed.
So good.
Personally, I think 976 Evil should have been the closing track because it kind of sounds like the intro of Diamond Eyes fading out, and I think
Oh,
they
yeah.
should have ended that with that song, and then that would have been a good way to come full circle. But This Place is Death is still a great song. Yeah, guys, for you, Diamond Eyes.
Oh, that was great. Fucking love the whole album. I don't know what it is, but Diamond Eyes track just takes me straight to Halo. Don't know what it is about it,
Okay.
but as soon as I hear that song, I just start thinking of Halo. And I don't know if you maybe have played it for me a shitload while
It
we were.
was it was the same time Reach was released, so there may have been a lot of kind of
It,
blending of the both.
they've yeah,
Crossover, yeah.
they've just merged, and I can't take one away from the other.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
that's a great way to keep that song in your head, to be honest.
Um,
Nath, for you?
I,
No,
I,
you said the latter tracks.
I would say that I'm actually not a massive fan of Diamond Eyes as a song. I don't know.
No,
I just
that's
think
fine.
the sort of like refrains and breaks in it are a bit all over. I don't know. It's something about it. I'm not going to criticize your favorite song, but
No, no, it's fine.
Go
everything
for it.
everything from Beauty School onwards is so good. Like I'll literally enjoy every single track after that. Like Diamond Eyes is probably the album. I mean, I really, really enjoy Around the Fur, but Diamond Eyes is probably the one where I'm like, wow, okay, this is probably the most like cohesive. I hate that word when you're describing music, and I've used it in my music
Mm.
reviews before, but it's the best way of putting it. Is that like this is an album that where each song blends well with the next, and it's like each one is so good. And as I said, from Beauty School onwards, I'll enjoy every single one of those songs.
I I think it's a testament to Deftones as a band when I would have said the first four tracks are my absolute favourites, and
Yeah.
I love them more than most. Probably in the top of my Deftones playlist.
Yeah.
But then for you to also be able to say this half of the album from downwards is your favourite, and when there is a very clear difference in the sounds, and I think it's a
Mm.
testament to
Mm.
how amazing how diverse their music can be, that we can both have completely separate sections with completely different sounds, but appreciate them nonetheless.
I just want to
Absolutely.
talk about beauty school as well, meaning you mentioned it, and
Mm.
obviously impact on this podcast and so forth. So, um, God, it must have been it was about 2013, 14. So, Deftones by now was a very big part of my life. And there was someone who used to be very special to me, who I'd had a really rough day at work. There was a lot of things going on in my life. And they asked me to come over to theirs, and just to see them. And as I walked through the door, they'd prepared me my favorite meal, my favorite dessert, and they put on Beauty School because they knew I loved Deftones so much. And so that song, anytime I listen to it now, so I don't listen to it a lot because it kind of holds quite a
Mm.
strong attachment to it. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I just. But it was also nice that someone recognised that that band obviously clearly meant so much to me, and obviously it was a softer one because some people
Mm.
can't deal with the heavy stuff. But it was, yeah, that song means a lot to me, and I forever hold that person in such a high regard because they didn't have to do that. They could have just made me a meal, and I'd have, the appreciation would have been there. But they thought of me to an extent that they went on my iPod and found that song and played it. So yeah, really really special for me that was.
So sort of core
But
core
yeah,
memory with that.
yeah, 100%. So again, like I said, I don't listen to that song a lot because it
Hmm.
means too much to me. So yeah, but when it comes on, it's still a great song. Um, then we move on to 2012, and where I think a lot of Deftones fans kind of when they've hit their pinnacle again since White Pony, they've almost came back. Um, I just think this album takes you fucking through time and space. Like I think of the intro to Mighty Boosh, like take a journey through time and
Time and
space, like
space.
literally again, like Ben said, the opening with Swerve City is so good. Again, the drums just so straight in there, very prominent. Poltergeist, as we've already discussed, is an incredible song. I love Entombed. I think it
Yeah.
is. Excuse me. I think Entombed and What Happened to You off this album are very directed at Chi. So again, adds an extra layer of beauty. Um, and then my two favorites off this album is Gauze, which again the vocals are so beautiful, but then Rosemary, which again they have played live, and
Yeah.
oh god, that song that is the one that takes me into a different universe. I mean, I like to listen to it when I'm driving, and there's a certain lyric now, I can't remember what it's called, which part it is. I would know it if I listened to it, but
Of
as we're
course.
talking, oh god, but yeah, there's basically a bit where the kind of the song slows down, and I always just look out my window and just kind of soak everything in. So yeah, that's
Mm.
and and Goon Squad actually like that is a again another really like gritty song for me. But yeah, for you guys, kind of Yoken.
I love the entire album. That's all I'll say.
Right.
Okay.
A one and done. I love Swerve City. That's on my gym playlist. Leathers is pretty great.
Yep.
Entombed as well. I really love. And you are right that this album's a lot more sort of spacey, I suppose. And I believe Koi no Yokan. I think it's Japanese for sort of like the premonition of love, and that's an
Yeah.
interesting sort of thing. I believe it's something like when you see someone, you know you're going to fall in love with them or whatever. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I certainly know I've experienced that. So like that's an interesting sort of connection there. Like I wouldn't necessarily attribute this sort of style of music to that, but that sort of feeling of sort of almost premonition, sort of disconnection from self is very aided by this album. Like it's not
Mm.
softer. I would say it's softer, but it's still like very dense. It's sonically, I suppose, and so you can sort of lose yourself in it very very easily, and it's a great experience. Sort of falling into an album like this, and I again like I'm so impressed by the quality of their discography. Like Around the Fur was in 1998,
7.
96, and 97. So we're talking like they went from over a decade, and they're still this good, and they can come out with new sounds and adapt it in a way where it's still you still listen to this and be like, okay, that's definitely Deftones, but it's different and it has a different energy, and it's still so good. Is really really a testament to their musical prowess.
Yeah, they found a sort of formula and just slightly tweak it every time,
Yeah,
um, which I suppose moves us in nicely to 2016's Gore. As we've already discussed, this is kind of the album where fans kind of were like, well, they've lost a bit of their edge. The production of it sounds a bit meh as well. Like the hard songs don't come across as quite hard. Like
mm,
Doomed User just doesn't have that punch to it. I mean, it's quite well known again through the fandom that Stephen Carpenter didn't get a lot of say in this album. He didn't get much. There's no guitar solos. There's nothing standing out. I mean, I still think this album's very good. I enjoyed
mhm.
it a lot when it first came out because it was just new Deftones content. Um, Prayers Triangles is good. I mean, Acid Hologram is one of my favorites off this album. And again, the guitar, even though again it doesn't sound like crisp, I
Yeah,
like the guitar to it. The riff to it's very like, or again, horror, almost like horror kind of creepy vibes.
hmm,
Uh, Xenon again, another cool kind of riff to it. And then another one that does sit on my gym playlist, so it does get quite a lot of love, is the title track "Gore."
yeah.
That's quite a good gym song for me. Also, I'll give a shout out to Phantom Bride because it has Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains doing a sweet solo in it. So yeah, For you guys, anything on Gore? I know, Ben, you don't really have much on this album, do you?
Other than title track, it's on my playlist. It's a good song. I do like it, and the some of the ones you mentioned, like Acid Hologram, I do know, um, but I just don't. I don't know. There's something about the album I've never really thrown myself into it.
Which is a shame
Probably
because
due to.
personally, I think the album art is beautiful. I think it's a really nice looking vinyl.
Flock of
Like
Flamingos.
I yeah, like I think visually, I'd like to have it on display, but then I wouldn't want that to be the forefront of a display when I've got much better albums surrounding it. But
Yeah.
yeah, Nath, anything on Gore for you? And again, I know you weren't a huge fan of it.
No, as again speaking as more, I suppose, a Deftones fan than a metal fan. This is the album where I was like, okay, I'm not feeling anything exciting in this. Nothing. In almost every other album I'd listened to, there'd been a song where I'm like, that's hit me in the ear, and that's something I want to listen to again. This one was just like, I'm not getting anything from this. Really, it was honestly a genuine struggle to listen to, and I don't want to reflect that on my opinion of the band, but just this album, I was like, there's something, and I couldn't put, I couldn't say specifically what about the music wasn't working for me, but it just wasn't clicking with me the same way the other albums were, and I didn't feel like I was listening to anything, as awesome and unique as their other projects, I suppose. So it was for me their worst, and I think that's, as I said earlier on, it's sort of seen within other listeners, I suppose.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the least listened on mine, but I still just have a few select songs that I
Yeah,
still enjoy.
yeah.
And then we come back to 2020 where they kind of went, okay, we heard what you said about Gore. Let's remind you how fucking good we are as a band. And they came back with Ohms. Um, Again, the sounds kind of changed.
Hmm.
I don't really know how I'd put this sound again, but the emphasis on the music and the instruments are very much back in it. I mean, the opening Genesis is incredible. It's quite a good hard one again. Even though the vocals are they're not clean, but
Yeah,
they're a mixture. Again, the breakdown at the end is so menacing. It's really dark. Again, it's one I always like turn it up just for that final minute.
yeah.
Um, Again, trying to pronounce it is Urantia.
Your answer,
Track
I
three.
suppose.
Yeah, again, the thrash metal influence from them on this song is incredible. And again, Abe Cunningham, his drums are so good in it. Like that intro in itself gripped me straight away. This was one of the few tracks that I instantly clicked with.
Hmm.
Um, Pompeii is beautiful, and the sound of like the beach and seagulls and stuff as it kind of fades in and out in that song is beautiful. Another favorite of mine off this album is "This Link Is Dead." Again, the outro almost feels like a ramped up like song for an action game. I always think in my head like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
playing like Gears or Halo, and like it's building up to this huge like moment in the game, and then it
Hmm.
ends like yeah. Um, Another one that's kind of crept up on my radar recently is Headless. Again, naughty like bass line to it, quite eerie. And then the title track itself, Ohms, is quite. I'd say it's one of the most different songs to it. The guitar's quite
Hmm.
like upbeat and almost feels like a rock song, and then obviously it becomes very Deftonesy again when Chino kind of comes back in and stuff. But yeah, a very good album. I was very happy to have them back on form with this album. I keep listening to it more and more. It's only been out a year, so it's still giving me time to kind of reflect on what's good about it. And there's no bad. So yeah, for me. What about you guys?
Ben, do you want to fire away?
Really tackled it too much. Um, I've familiarised myself with some of the songs like Genesis, I would say St. Owens, and I do like that Pompeii. But beyond that, I've not really explored this album as much as I probably should have. Um, I think because I didn't get on too well with Gore, I sort of skipped over when I heard they had a new one out. Um,
Mm.
and then I've yet to have that sort of sit down and real listen to it.
So this is one of the ones I've listened to once. So I've listened to their other ones even more than once easily, but I gave this one a sort of a cursory sort of listen through, and it's a sound I want to get more into. Like it's definitely on the chopping block, so to speak, that I've got to sort of dig into this one and see what I get from it more. But I did like the eponymous tracks at Ohms and Era, but like I need to definitely break this one down more in terms of this is alongside Adrenaline, where I'm like most of my listening was sort of through the meat of their discography, I suppose, like the big sandwich meat bit in the middle with the you know,
Mm.
around the foot of White Pony, Kono and Diamond Eyes. So that's just those four albums alone have been the vast majority of my listening. But I'm more interested to see how in 2020 that their sound is holds up, I suppose. And hearing from your regard, Aidan, you just think they're still pretty on form with this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't remember if they won it or not, but they were nominated for a Grammy for this album.
All
And
right.
fans in themselves have said, this is a masterpiece. In some reviews have been like it's a masterpiece. It's
All
a
right.
very well
Awesome.
received album, and I totally agree. So kind of to end this episode, I obviously did a little bit of outside research. As I've said, the Deftones fandom is, it's a tough one to pick out what album is kind of the king of the crop.
Yeah.
So I put out on Reddit and Facebook some polls, just asking what people's favorite albums were, and I managed to get 88 votes in. So quite a decent amount. So there's
Good crop. A good crop.
yeah, good amount there. Um, and we do have a winner. It was very close actually between the top four,
All
and
right.
to my surprise, one of the albums, like I said, so our winner was White Pony. So again,
Not
the
surprised.
most popular album, the most go-to gateway drug of album. It still holds up as many people's favorite. I think, be it because they grew up with it, or that was their introduction, or because it is just a genuinely good album.
Hmm.
Second place, so that had 18 votes. Sorry. So then second place with 17 votes. So it was one in it.
Oh,
Was
wow.
Kaino Yoken, which
Oh,
again
really?
a lot of people say is again White Pony Mark II, or it's their true to
Okay.
form comeback. Um, Third place was Diamond Eyes with 15 votes, so kind of sits there nicely as one of the most influential.
Yeah.
Um, this is where I got kind of surprised. So I thought Around the Fur may have came in next, but
It's
with
not
14
next.
votes, no. So with 14 votes, so not much in between. It was Saturday Night Wrist. So like I said,
Really?
somewhere along the lines, people have just sat back and gone, actually, this album's really really good, and yeah, I agree. Um, then we have Around the Fur with 9 votes. So there's quite a gap between
Yeah.
Around the Fur and Saturday Night Wrist. Coming in next was the self-titled album with 8,
Hmm.
and then unfortunately the rest just no love really. Adrenaline got 2, Ohms got 2. I feel like in Ohms' defense, it's only been out a year and a bit, so
Yeah.
for people to say it's their favorite, maybe it's not there yet. And then I got 2 votes on Other, so I'm assuming their cover album or their B-sides album. And then someone put Team Sleep, which is Chino's side project, so that's not even
Yeah.
included right now. And then unfortunately, Gore got 1 vote. So the proof's in the
Well,
pudding. And I
Ooh.
think it was probably, I don't know if it was a pity vote or someone was just like, yeah, it goes all right. So
Oh
yeah,
no.
White Pony is still number one with
Hmm.
Kaino Yoken chasing up very, very quickly. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, the votes are, almost reflect my top three at the
Hmm.
moment. My top three, and this, it changes with where I am in time and place, but Diamond Eye is obviously number one. The self-titled is number two, and at the moment, Saturday Night Wrist is number three for me. They're my kind of go-to 3 albums at the moment. But Kaino Yoken and Around the Fur kind of chop and change in between that. So yeah, any. I know for you guys, you've kind of said your favorite albums, but top two maybe, or for the viewers, what are your go-to albums?
Benjamin fire away.
yeah, I mean, interchangeable, I guess. I mean, at the moment, I'd definitely say Diamond Eyes, then Kind of Yoken, then White Pony. So I guess I do reflect the top three, not necessarily the right order, but those are definitely my top three. But yeah, currently Diamond Eyes number one, but Kind of Yoken does it. It depends on my mood, I guess, and what I'm sort of because I'm enjoying listening just to the whole albums instead of the playlists at the moment. So
Yeah.
whichever album I'm on very much dictates what goes to the top.
I'd
Nah,
probably say, in terms of, if I'm being totally honest, in terms of an overall album listening experience, I'd have to put Diamond Eyes as my favorite. I love the songs I like from Around the Fur. I love, but I think in terms of the overall album experience, Diamond Eyes probably is better. So I'd say Diamond Eyes, Around the Fur, and then Koino Yoken, and then White Pony, because I think Koino Yoken's probably I enjoyed much more than White Pony, but the rest, yeah, Gore at the bottom, then probably Ohms above that, because it's I did enjoy that more than Gore, and then actually no, I'd put Gore, Adrenaline, then Ohms. So yeah.
nice. Um, yeah, I think again I could spiel on about this for hours, but I think that kind of gets the point across that this band is very good.
Mm.
Um, we've all kind of been impacted in certain ways, be it long-term fans to newer fans, but the impact is there, and that's important. And I've been really happy to share just a few memories and a few kind of expressions of my love for this band. They can keep releasing albums as long as they're on the kind of forte of you know everything but gore. So yeah, uh, please people give them a listen. There's a bit of something for everyone in within Deftones albums. Um, so yeah, just go and have an explore. Let us know if you've had any stories about them, what your favorite album is, favorite track. We'd love to hear. And
Mm.
yeah, come back for episode 32 and take care, guys.